You use a mouse every single day. You click, scroll, and drag without thinking twice. But here's what's wild. There are at least 10 completely different types of computer mice, and most people have only ever tried 2. From rubber balls rolling on dirty desks, to pressure-sensitive nubs smaller than a pencil eraser, the mouse has evolved in directions nobody expected. Pick the wrong type, and your hand pays the price. Bull mouse. If you've been using computers long enough, you already know this one, and you can probably still feel the gunk on your fingers. The ball mouse is the original. A small rubber ball sits on the bottom of the shell and rolls against your desk as you move it. Inside, 2 perpendicular rollers detect that spin and translate it into cursor movement. Think of it like a tiny hamster wheel, except the hamster is your entire hand. The key spec was resolution, measured in counts per inch. Most ball mice sat around 400 CPI. That was perfectly fine for navigating Windows 95. Not so much for anything made after 2005. You didn't really choose a ball mouse. You just used whatever came in the box with your computer. The real experience was maintenance. Every few weeks, you'd flip it over, twist the retaining ring, pop out the ball, and scrape mysterious crud off the rollers with your fingernail. It was disgusting and oddly satisfying at the same time. The biggest myth about ball mice is that they were precise. They weren't. They skipped, stuttered, and collected every crumb on your desk. But they started everything we have now. Optical Mouse. This is the one that made ball mice disappear practically overnight. An optical mouse ditches the rubber ball entirely. Instead, it uses a tiny LED and a miniature camera sensor on the bottom. The LED lights up the surface underneath, and the sensor snaps thousands of pictures per second to track your movement. No moving parts. No gunk buildup. No flipping it over to perform minor surgery every other week. It's like giving your mouse actual eyes, instead of making it feel around blindly. The spec that matters here is DPI, dots per inch. Most optical mice range from 800 to around 4000 DPI. Higher DPI means the cursor covers more screen distance with less hand movement. For everyday use, 800 to 1600 DPI is more than enough. Going way higher doesn't make you faster, it just sends your cursor flying off the edge of your monitor. The one real limitation is surface dependence. Optical mice struggle on glass and highly reflective desks. If your desk is glass, you need a mouse pad or a different mouse entirely. The common mistake is thinking optical means outdated. It doesn't. Most modern mice still use optical sensors. They just got dramatically better at the job. Laser mouse. When optical wasn't precise enough, laser showed up with something to prove. A laser mouse works on the same basic principle. A sensor takes rapid pictures of the surface below. The difference is the light source. Instead of a visible LED, it fires an infrared laser. That matters because the laser illuminates surface textures in much finer detail. It tracks on surfaces that make optical mice completely give up. Glass desktops, lacquered wood, polished stone. The laser handles all of them. DPI on laser mice climbs significantly higher, often reaching 8000 or beyond. That sounds impressive, until you realize most people never need anything above 2000. The extra sensitivity can actually backfire. Laser sensors pick up so much surface texture that they sometimes introduce jitter, tiny unwanted cursor movements when you're trying to hold perfectly still. It's like having a microphone so sensitive it picks up your heartbeat. For office work and general browsing, laser mice are great. For competitive gaming, most pros deliberately avoid them because of that jitter problem. The myth here is simple. Laser equals better. It doesn't. More sensitive is not the same thing as more accurate. Wireless mouse. This one promised freedom, and it delivered. An RF wireless mouse connects through a small USB receiver, usually called a dongle, that plugs into your computer. It talks over 2.4 GHz radio frequency, the same band your Wi-Fi router uses. But the connection is dedicated, not shared. Modern wireless mice from reputable brands have latency so low most people genuinely cannot tell the difference from wired. The specs that matter are polling rate and battery life. Polling rate tells you how often the mouse reports its position. Most wireless mice poll at 125 to 1000 Hz. Battery life varies enormously. Some last a few weeks on a charge. Others run for months on a single AA. Choosing comes down to what annoys you less. Rechargeable mice are convenient but lose capacity over time. Battery mice last longer, but you're buying AAs until the heat death of the universe. It's like choosing between a phone you charge every night and a flashlight you feed batteries. The biggest mistake people make is assuming wireless means laggy. That was true in 2005. It hasn't been true for years. A good wireless mouse today is functionally identical to a wired one. Bluetooth mouse. This looks like a wireless mouse and acts like a wireless mouse, but it skips the dongle entirely. A Bluetooth mouse connects directly to your computer's built-in Bluetooth radio. No USB receiver, no port wasted. Pair it once and go. That's the whole pitch, and it's a good one. If you travel with a laptop that only has 2 USB-C ports, losing one to a mouse dongle feels like paying rent on a parking spot. Bluetooth fixes that. The specs that matter are Bluetooth version and battery life. Bluetooth 5.0 and newer offer better range and lower power consumption. Battery life on Bluetooth mice tends to be excellent. Some last over a year on a single AA. The trade-off is latency. Bluetooth typically polls at lower rates than RF wireless. For office work, browsing, and creative apps, you will never notice the difference. For fast-paced gaming, you might. Choosing is straightforward. If you need every USB port and you're not gaming competitively, Bluetooth is perfect. If raw speed matters, go RF. The myth is that Bluetooth mice are unreliable. Early versions deserved that reputation. Modern Bluetooth is rock solid. Gaming mouse. Here's where things get serious. A gaming mouse is engineered for one job, giving you every possible competitive edge. It looks the part too. Aggressive shapes, RGB lighting, extra buttons sprouting from every surface. Inside, it packs a high-end optical sensor with DPI that can exceed 25,000. Top models feature adjustable weight systems, onboard memory for custom profiles, and polling rates up to 8,000 Hz. But the spec that actually matters is sensor accuracy and tracking speed. A great gaming mouse follows fast flicks without spinning out. It stops exactly where your hand stops. No drift, no overshoot. Think of it like the difference between a family sedan and a track car. Both get you there, but one takes corners very differently. Here's the thing though. DPI above 3200 is overkill for almost everyone. Most pros play between 400 and 1600 DPI. The extra buttons are handy for MMOs and productivity workflows, less so for shooters. If anyone in the comments is actually gaming at 25,000 DPI, drop your settings below. I need to understand you. The biggest mistake is buying the most expensive gaming mouse and never touching the software. Customization is half the product. Skip it and you wasted your money. Trackball. This is the mouse that doesn't move. A trackball sits still on your desk while you roll a ball with your thumb or fingers to move the cursor. It sounds completely bizarre if you've never used one. It looks like a regular mouse that swallowed a marble. But trackball users are fiercely loyal, and they have good reasons. Because the body stays stationary, you need almost zero desk space. Your wrist barely moves, which can seriously reduce strain over marathon sessions. The key specs are ball size and sensor resolution. Larger balls give smoother, more precise control. Sensor resolution works the same as any other mouse. Higher DPI means more cursor travel per unit of ball spin. Choosing one comes down to ball placement. Thumb-operated models like the Logitech Ergo keep your hand relaxed and natural. Finger-operated models offer finer control but feel completely alien for the first few days. For designers and CAD professionals, trackballs are surprisingly popular. For gaming, they're a tough sell unless you're genuinely built different. The myth is that trackballs are slow. They aren't. The learning curve is steep. Expect about a week of frustration. But once your muscle memory adapts, many users refuse to go back. Ergonomic mouse. Your regular mouse might be slowly wrecking your wrist, and you probably don't feel it yet. An ergonomic mouse changes how your hand sits to reduce long-term strain. The most popular type is the vertical mouse. It tilts your grip into a handshake position instead of pressing your hand flat against the desk. It looks strange, like someone took a normal mouse and tipped it sideways. But that odd angle keeps your forearm neutral, reducing the constant twist that causes repetitive strain injuries over thousands of hours. The specs that matter here aren't performance numbers, they're dimensions and grip angle. A good vertical mouse has a 57 to 70 degree tilt. Some models go fully vertical at 90 degrees, but that's extreme for most hands. Choosing is about hand size and grip style. Too small and you're cramping. Too large and you're reaching awkwardly. For anyone spending 8+ hours a day at a desk, an ergonomic mouse isn't a luxury. It's preventive maintenance. It's like buying a proper office chair instead of sitting on a milk crate and hoping your back figures it out. The common mistake is waiting until your wrist already hurts to switch. The best time to go ergonomic is before the problems start. Touchpad. You've used one. You've probably complained about one. A touchpad is a flat capacitive surface built into nearly every laptop sold in the last 2 decades. No moving parts underneath. Your finger glides across the surface, and a grid of sensors tracks its position through electrical changes in your skin contact. Think of it like a tiny smartphone screen that only understands finger movement, not taps on app icons. Modern touchpads support multi-touch gestures, 2-finger scrolling, 3-finger swiping between desktops, pinch to zoom. Apple's Force Touch trackpads even detect how hard you press down. The specs that matter are surface size and driver quality. Larger touchpads give more room for gestures and feel less cramped during long sessions. On Windows, precision touchpad drivers versus generic manufacturer drivers make an enormous difference in tracking smoothness. For laptop use, a good touchpad can replace a mouse entirely. For desktops, standalone touchpads exist, but rarely make sense outside specific creative workflows. The biggest mistake is judging all touchpads by that terrible one you used on a cheap laptop in 2012. Premium touchpads today are genuinely excellent. Cheap ones are still awful. The quality gap is wider than almost any other input device category. Track point. If you know, you know. The track point is that tiny red rubber nub sitting between the G, H, and B keys on ThinkPad keyboards. It's officially called a pointing stick, but everyone calls it the red nub, the eraser head, or just that weird thing on ThinkPads. It works by sensing pressure, not movement. Push it in a direction, and the cursor moves. Push harder, and it goes faster. It's like a joystick that got shrunk in the wash and never recovered. Your fingers never leave the home row. That's the entire appeal. For touch typists who hate breaking flow to reach for a mouse, the track point is the fastest path between typing and cursor control. The specs are minimal. Sensitivity settings and cap style are about all you can customize. Choosing to use one is about workflow, not raw performance. If you live in text editors, terminals, and spreadsheets, the track point saves you micro-interruptions that compound across a full workday. For anything demanding precision, photo editing, design work, gaming, it's the wrong tool entirely. The myth is that track points are obsolete relics. Lenovo still ships one on every single ThinkPad. The fanbase would riot if they disappeared. It's the most polarizing input device in computing, and it's barely bigger than a pencil eraser. From rubber balls collecting desk crumbs to invisible lasers tracking on polished glass, the computer mouse has come absurdly far. We covered optical revolutions, wireless freedom fights, trackballs that refuse to budge, vertical mice that look like they're mid-fall, and a tiny red nub with a genuine cult following. Every single type exists because someone had a different problem to solve. That's what makes this little device so much more interesting than it gets credit for. So what mouse are you actually using right now? Drop the exact model in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what everyone's running. If this video helped you understand your options, a like goes a long way. It genuinely helps the channel more than you'd think. Next up, I'm breaking down every type of keyboard, mechanical, membrane, and everything weird in between. Click the video on screen right now.